All right. I wanted to hang out with you guys today. So, I've got my copal burning, my favorite. It smells so beautiful. I love having the element of fire around always, candles, incense, the flame of Saint Germain. And then I have this beautiful angel trumpet. I put another flower in it as well. This thing smells divine. Like it smells like a shampoo. That's beautiful. Check it, check. The angels are sounding their trumpets. The angels are sounding their trumpets. Okay, so I've had a lot kind of piling in a good way, and I felt the responsibility to share a little bit about what's going on. Well, I've got River's little sock here. It's a little spaceship. Take you to space, take you on a trip with me. I'm going to start off by reading this affirmation that's connected to gate number 49 or gene key 49 that my friend Robin sent me. The affirmation is, I am a cosmic revolutionary. I am, what did I write there? With higher principles. I am designed. Okay. I am a cosmic revolutionary. I am designed with higher principles that support the evolution of humanity. I stand for peace, equality, and sustainability. I align with these principles and I stand my ground. I do the work to create intimacy necessary to share my values with others. I value myself and my work enough to only align with relationships that support my vital role. And so that's connected to the 49, gate 49 in human design, gene key 49, which is from the shadow of reaction to the gift of revolution to the city, or some people say siddhi, of rebirth. And it's talking about changing the world from the inside. And so, for me, somewhere along my path during my awakening process, it's hard to chronologically describe or tune into the exact time that this started to happen. But I went from, a human being in the world, working, making money, paying bills, going to the grocery store, going shopping, decorating my house, remodeling my kitchen, planning family vacations, to like something just shifted, something just happened. I did have a near-death experience. I do believe that was a big part of it. But there was also like this subtle awakening process just going on as I look back, like this series, Richard Rudd from the Gene Keys would say, like a series of softenings. It was like all of a sudden information I'd never seen or perceived before was there. And I could see things before that I couldn't see before. You could say it was like my third eye being open before I even knew there was a thing called a third eye, right? And so with that process, I started to take in a lot of information about what was going on in the world that I hadn't seen before, in the politics, in the medicines, in the chemicals, and the cancers, and the illnesses, in the consumerism, and the consumption, in the foods, and the smells, and the fragrances, and like just our environments in general. Like something just like turned on in me where I started to be a little more consciously aware about like how everything I do is affecting the planet or not. Well, it always is. It's affecting it in a positive or a negative way. And so there was like this responsibility to start to become more aware of my lifestyle, my consumption, how I was living my life, and how my drop in the bucket, how I was impacting and what I was doing. And I started to really kind of get into like a little bit of world affairs, but not too deeply into it. I was grateful to be pulled into during my awakening into the arms of a celestial being who never called herself a guru and never will, because those days are over, right? But someone that's become a sovereign being of light that understands the truth and may utilize her intelligence and her willingness to speak and share with others to help bring calm, stable, sometimes emotional, but mostly non-emotional, important information that people should know. And so that's why I'm recording this video today, because I'm feeling like there's things that people should know. And this might not be for all of my light worker friends that already know this stuff. This might be for someone that's never known about this stuff or has been so busy in their life that they are distracted and have no idea what's really going on out there. But I'm thinking of this catalyzing moment that happened in my life when a really good friend of mine named Stephanie Hall, she called me. It was January 2018, and she told me she had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I was just like, what? I was just dumbfounded. I was so shocked. Like, she didn't fit the bill of someone that would get cancer. She was so healthy. She was so positive. She was exercising. She was eating right. Like, she seemed to have a positive mindset. And that really spun me into a whole new world of understanding energy and understanding emotions. And so very soon after that, well, I started getting online and just researching things. I found this dude named Chris that was doing the like Heal Cancer diet, which was basically mostly all raw, all vegan. And that was the first time I started to realize like there were ingredients out there that were being put in our foods that are unnecessary and we shouldn't be consuming. And then that kind of made me start thinking, well, damn, if I can't trust the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration with that, wow, I've got to get more responsible about what I'm putting in my body. It wasn't soon after that I went vegetarian, which was a big drastic change for me because I'd been a CrossFitter at the time. I was lifting heavy weights all the time. I'm a small frame, 5'1", but I probably had a good extra 30 pounds of muscle on my body. I was counting protein, probably consuming about 150 grams of protein a day, and I swore I'd never be a vegetarian. I couldn't even imagine such a thing. And growing up in Texas, where the beer and the beef flows, I remember going to my family's first Thanksgiving and then being like, what the hell? Like, you're not eating meat? And like, I found an old journal that I wrote where I felt like I was almost this is victim consciousness, but I felt a little bit like I was being persecuted for not eating meat. And yet I wasn't like pushing my views on anyone or anything like that. It's just, it was interesting to me that I literally remember after a CrossFit workout, rolling my quads after this, probably some thrusters, one of my favorite things to do, like that squat. And you got to rub those muscles out so you don't get them all sore the next day. And I remember saying, there's no way I could never not eat meat. And then, I don't know, be careful what you say, right? Never say never. It wasn't soon after that it just like, so I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to force myself. I didn't have to judge myself and feel bad about it and do it out of like a guilt or a need to or pressure. It was just like one day I didn't think that was necessary. And the next day I did, and it made sense, and it was mostly an easy transition. I mean, I've worked out a lot at the Kings, you know, because there's a vegetarian out there that's like, oh, Doritos and Oreos are vegetarian, you know. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about putting fuel in your body, good, clean foods. And so at the time, I was also selling like supplements. I had become very successful in the supplement company, and I really did believe in the products until I didn't. And at one point, I mean, I was very successful at this company, and I was consuming tons of these products, and I did feel great on these products. And it did transition me from one way of looking at eating to another way of looking at eating, and more awareness about my body and putting me into more physical activity and all of those things. So I appreciated that, but I also recognized there were ingredients on these products that I would find in these lists of cancer-causing ingredients, right? And it's interesting because, again, you can't see until you can see. You know, and the success, I didn't plan on going here, but I am. This company I was working for was called Advocare. I started it in January 2013 or end of December 2012, which is very interesting because it was the end of this Mayan cycle, a big end of a Mayan cycle that this man Jose Arguelles was talking about. Many, many, many beings were talking about this, but I didn't know about that stuff back then. Back then I was still working for Dell Computer Corporation in Austin, Texas, full-time, and living La Vida Loca, happily married, you know, supporting the American dream, going on vacation when I could. But I was getting a little heavier. I was drinking alcohol. I was drinking wine because I went to a winery, and then I started ordering wine, and I was drinking wine every night. I don't touch alcohol now. Tip number one, I don't drink alcohol anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I don't eat meat. Do what you want with that information. I'm not saying this in any kind of way trying to impose anything on you, but I'm going to be real with you that these are frequency shifters, massive frequency shifters. You have to evaluate the addiction that you have to food. And how we've been told, you know, the food pyramid, right? It's got all these things in it. Like, I remember one time when I watched this documentary, and it was talking about how the food pyramid was based on what it was that they wanted to sell. So they had a ton of cows because they were producing a ton of milk and cheese. And recipe books is actually like the #1 selling book out there, recipe books. Maybe not anymore because we got all the online. You can search any recipe and find anything. But you know, where I grew up in Texas, and with more of that southern cooking, I was looking for those creamy, cheesy, potatoey, you know, guilty things, you know. But I've also always loved Italian food. Pizza, spaghettis, Alfredos, you know. I still found a way to eat those even when I went vegetarian, of course. But now I'm a little more on a vegan, very occasional cheese out and about, but never in the house kind of thing. Pretty much no processed sugars. Mostly raw, eating much, much, much less than I ever imagined I would ever be eating. Wow, we've really built our lives around eating and consuming food. It's a business, right? Someone's making money off this stuff. And so the way that you know what you're being sold hard is just look at the advertisements, right? Just be really real with yourself and look at what's being advertised out there. If people are still watching advertisements, you're being advertised sex, you're being advertised money, you're being advertised food, you're being advertised pharmaceuticals, you're being advertised fear, right? Maybe I'm making an assumption here because I don't watch advertisements. I don't have a TV. I don't use technology to receive information. I use it to transmit information. So I don't always know what's going on out there. So I could be making some assumptions here, but I think everything is a double-edged sword, right? You can use things for the good, and you can use things for the not so good. All right, so we're rolling and we're flowing here. I didn't know I was going to get on the topic of food, but I am. Here I am. And I didn't know that I was going to talk about my friend Stephanie or cancer, but here I am. So that's how I know where I'm flowing with this thing. Sometimes I just feel the impulse, and I know I'm supposed to talk or share information, and I never have a plan, and it just and I just speak, see what happens, you know. So I'm thinking of my homegirl Stephanie Hall. It was right after that I went to, you know, she called me, hey, I have cancer. I'm like, no fucking way, I can't even believe it. I'm so sorry. What do you say to your friend who's got a daughter and now she's got, and you're like, what? And the warrior inside of you and the positive thinker inside you is like, we're gonna fucking get through this, you know? And I believed it with all of my heart. Notice I said believed, because she's not here. She probably went through it longer and harder than anyone I know. And at first glance, in the innocence, you know, you're really just dealing with the fact that your friend has cancer. It's not really until the hindsight, until the non-emotional looking back, that I'm like, what's the root of this stuff? Why does this exist? Why does it keep happening? Why is there so much childhood cancer? Why are there so many children's hospitals? Why is there so much illness on the planet right now? Why are people getting so sick? Why are people getting diagnosed with all these mystery diseases? You know, why all of a sudden a new rare genetic disorder is coming up out of nowhere? It's never existed before. Now it exists because we've got, you know, scientists to diagnose it. And so people are just barely surviving, literally, financially and physically, barely surviving. So, you know, that call from Stephanie led me to just looking at research. At that point, I wasn't quite in a big spiritual awakening. It was starting to roll. I'd read the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I was learning the steps to personal freedom. Don't take anything personal. Don't make assumptions. Live your life in integrity. Always do your best. You know, those are what I call the basics. Never take anything personal, rule number 1. This actually, we're talking about reactions and emotions. Not taking something personal is a really good first step to learning how to diffuse that emotional, reactionary, or repressive mechanism that we have in our bodies. Becoming more emotionally aware, emotional intelligence is so, so key. We have to take our health in our own hands right now. It's really important that we do that sooner than later. I am from the future. I will tell you, something happened in my life that catapulted me on a trajectory far off in the future, so that I could kind of like just dismantle and unwind the programming of the American dream and the human reality, so that I could kind of sift through it in a non-emotional way and be like, whoa, there's my eyes open. My third eye is open now. I can see what's going on very clearly. When someone tells me something, I can see through what they're saying, and I can interpret it on a multidimensional level. We are multidimensional beings. I am a multidimensional being here on the ascension path, and I'm here to share my personal experience so that it can be of service to anyone else that starts to hear the ring-a-ling-ling, ding-a-ding-ding, the call, which is going to start happening more and more now. And that's why I'm saying, like, I might not be here to talk to someone that I've been talking to for 3 years. I think I'm here to talk to people that have never heard what I'm sharing yet. Maybe they've never contemplated this information before. But I did start to learn something about synchronicity and dates and certain things that would happen that would allow our perception to be opened up wider so that we could see bigger, so that we could read between the lines. So December 2012 was one of those times. one of those waves, because I almost immediately after that started this 24-day challenge. I went no alcohol for 24 days. I cut out processed sugars, eating cleaner, eating more lean, not eating fast foods. This was like a basic start for me. That was a catapult, for my consciousness. And I couldn't have known it then that what I was consuming and putting in my body could be keeping me from higher awareness, but it absolutely was. And I ended up leaving my corporate job after 2012. February 2013, I left my job in Dell Computer Corporation headquarters in Austin, Texas. I'd been there 8 years. Thought I'd be there forever until I wasn't. Until I made that decision to take a leap and never look back. And it was scary, the idea of leaving a secure job. But I did start having health issues. I went to the doctor a couple times for pain in my chest. I was feeling stress for sure. I felt this heart pain. I had this swelling in my arm one time. Like, there were a few times that I ended up getting these shots in my neck in my spine to help with this numbness on my left side. Then I was put on these medications, gabapentin, Lyrica, shit I'd never heard of. I'd never been on pharmaceutical medication my whole life. And what's interesting is when I went to the doctor, at Dell, it's like a college campus. So there were like many, many huge, now I think a lot of people work remote and work from home and things like that. But there were many huge 3-story tower buildings. It looked like a college campus. We had our own food inside, like kitchens and cafeteria type of style, and doctors. And I went to see the doctor one time, and she's like, "Oh, you've got stress. This is totally normal. You work at Dell. Everyone has stress." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Here, I'm going to give you some Prozac, and I'm going to give you some Ativan." And I was like, "Okay, is that what I need?" Now, I'm in a clueless state at this moment. I'm not empowering myself. She didn't ask me what my lifestyle was like. She didn't ask me what I was eating. Was I exercising? Am I taking breaks? Where's my work-life balance? What's my am I connected to nature? What am I studying? Am I doing any spiritual practices? Like, she didn't ask me any of that. She goes, "Oh, you have pain in your heart? No problem. Prozac, Ativan." So I was like, okay. And I just went home and I started popping these pills. I've never done that before. I never grew up in a family where there were, like, I remember I'd go to my friends' houses sometimes and I'd see like medicine bottles in the medicine cabinet and stuff, and I'd be like, I don't have those. Like, we'd have Tylenol or ibuprofen. Like, I don't even touch that shit now. I've never needed a Tylenol forever, ever since I woke up. I never needed to put any of that bullshit in my body ever again. There's a whole nother story about the Rockefellers here and what's been going on with the pharmaceutical industry since the 1920s, that we need to really awaken to the beast of this money-making machine and this human experimentation that's going on in the physical body and the medical system. And if you can't see it, ask yourself to be shown the God's honest truth. The God's honest truth. Nothing but the truth, so help me God. That you can go to bed tonight and wake up and start to see the truth about what's going on with the human experimentation with the medical industry right now. So I took Prozac and Ativan for a year. I was feeling good. I'm not going to lie. I was numb. I didn't get irritated anymore. I had anxiety, travel anxiety, anxiety on the plane, anxiety in the car. Popping Ativan, totally fine. Now, at this point, I hadn't experimented so much with cannabis yet, and I did start to recognize that although I'm concerned with what they're putting out there for legal purposes right now, because that's turning into a whole nother system again. But there are other ways to work with your anxiety. A lot of it's your own inner work, right? But I'm not saying that it's not okay to occasionally have some external things that could help you out a little bit. But then you got to clean, depending on who you are and what you came from. Like, I had to clean this idea of drugs and what's legal and what's illegal and what's bad or good. Like, alcohol is legal, so I can drink it. Smoking weed is not legal, so I can't smoke it. But it doesn't make sense. Like, it actually really doesn't make sense. I don't follow any of those rules anymore, these laws, these man-made laws. And I really don't need anything outside of me anymore, although I've used those things to awaken awareness within myself. All right, a year after being on these meds, one day I started to realize, like, man, I'm not crying anymore. I don't feel any sentimental, I'm not much of a crier and a sadness. I actually don't experience that so much, but I would be touched by something. I always would say, I'd be watching American Idol and I'd see someone, achieving their dream, and I would be emotionally like, and I'd lost that, but I didn't even know I had lost it. I'd lost my attunement to my heart. I can't say I was fully attuned, but I was pretty attuned. And so when January 2013 came and I did the 24-day challenge, I not only did I cut out alcohol, I ended all my pharmaceuticals. Now, that's something a doctor would tell you should never do, of course. That's something the FDA would tell you not to do. I think I'd been taking gabapentin, which I've now found out because I've listened to other people's stories, and I guess that's a pretty calm base one that they put everybody on, which basically is numbing your neurocommunication in your body. It's like turning things off. These mystery diseases like fibromyalgia and these nervous system things and all of this stuff, it's like, oh, we don't need to address the real issue here. Let's just put a Band-Aid on it. What's the real issue? Again, it's the foods we're putting in our body, it's our environments, it's the 5G and the wireless towers and the telecom and the telecommunications and the Bluetooth and these things. It's that stuff. And our addiction to it makes us want to defend that this isn't true. And our thinking that we need it to survive in this world keeps us from facing the truth about technology. Again, things can be a double-edged sword here, right? We can use everything in balance. That leads me to another friend of mine. Her name is Susan Apgar. Yesterday was 2 years ago, she died of cancer. She was the mother of 3 children. One, named Maggie Elizabeth, she delivered in almost days after. It was very close to when I delivered my first son, Lawson. Well, December of that year, I think it was. And she had a rare brain tumor. And so she never left the hospital. This baby girl never left the hospital. And that hurt my friend Susan. It hurt all of us. It was emotional for sure. And she went on to have 2 beautiful sons. And then a few years ago, she was diagnosed with, I believe, a brain cancer. And so it'll be 2 years ago yesterday that she crossed over, I'll say. Again, another person where I'm like, how on earth are these people just all of a sudden getting these rare cancers and dying? And so today, when I opened up an email, there was something about the Children's Health Defense that Robert Kennedy Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., I don't know. He's running for president. He's got the same birthday as my daughter, Presley James, actually. And I saw that he's got this children's health defense based out of Austin, Texas, actually, where I'm from. And there are some people on there talking about the 5G towers, the electromagnetic radiation, the electromagnetic frequencies, the sudden illnesses that are being caused in the schools with the children right now. Like they're talking about taking away the wireless and putting everything wired again. And cancers, of course. You know, things going on with people not being able to leave their homes or be around these towers and these beams. Like, this is real. This is not conspiracy theory stuff. Tell me it's a conspiracy theory that we've got hospitals on every... Now, I'm talking to Americans here, right? If you're in some other country, maybe it's not going on over there. But I am from America. I'm living in Central America now, but I'm talking about my home country, where when I just went back for the first time for 3.5 years, I saw... It was like I needed to be removed from the environment completely to come back into it. And I think for the average person, everything just kind of happens so gradually. Like there's always construction or destruction going on, so you might not realize it. But since I'd been gone for a long time, and then I popped into this hologram, I was like, holy shit, what are all these towers everywhere? What is all this electrical stuff? These like electrical generators? What are all these warehouses for? What happened to Austin, Texas? You know, live music capital of the world. I don't want to point any fingers, but there's something going on out there environmentally with the foods that we're eating, with the technology we're consuming, and it's also, this is the thing we really have to get aware of, though. It's about becoming more intelligent and hyper aware of the energy field. Everything is energy. Like when I made that realization, I was listening to this girl, Green Smoothie Girl. It was like 2018. It wasn't so long ago. I was actually sitting outside of a Unity church. There was a small gathering in Georgetown, Texas, and I was just going to go in there and peek my head in. Like I was feeling some kind of call to be in church, but not in church like commercial church or fake church, but like, and I felt like Unity Church kind of had some principles. Like I'd been to a Unity Church in Austin before, and they had talked about, you know, they mentioned Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and like, you know, other teachers besides just the Christ. And it was a beautiful eye-opener for me to kind of like get a little taste of an old version of myself, but without so much of the programming. That's a whole nother topic that I'll talk about one day, my transition from false religion to the true Christ understandings. But that's not for today. Anyways, I was listening to this podcast. I was getting ready to go inside, and she was talking about how everything was energy and everything was vibration. Again, if we've been hanging out for a while, I know you know that, but my intent here is to talk to my friends that I haven't talked to in a while, or maybe people that would happen upon this video that don't remember yet that everything is energy, frequency, vibration. And so now, if you take it all to the non-personal level, to more of an energy, frequency, vibrational level, now you ask yourself, what is the energetic value of this food? What is the energetic value of this television set? What is the energetic value of this music I'm listening to? Right? Now you're thinking a little deeper. What is the energetic value of this emotion that I'm in? What's the energetic value of this pill I'm putting into my body, or this drug, or, right? Everything is energy, frequency, vibration. So this is how I started to make a very quick, very simple shift from one world to another world, where in one world I'm like, why is this happening to me? Am I hard? I'm having a chest pain. I'm going to go see a doctor so they can tell me what's going on with my body. That's not so empowering, right? I got to go get tests done and get blood and go to all these meetings and pay appointments and pay this money and get all my blood taken out for them to tell me what's up with me, right? Now, all of a sudden, if everything's energy, frequency, and vibration, now I'm asking myself, and here's a trick. Form, your physical form, follows frequency. So now I know whatever I've got going on in my physical vessel has to do with something, first and foremost, that's a frequency-based data. And so the frequency is communicating to me in my physical form. So this goes back to the cancer diagnosis too, because as I started to read books, like I went to the used bookstore and the first book that came to me was Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss, M-Y-S-S. I think everyone should read this book. It opens you up to understandings about your chakras. It opens you up to healing past traumas, inner child. It talks about, the connection to the emotions. Like everything is connected to emotions and blocked emotions. And the other book that I got was Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural. And I think I had read The Placebo Effect or something like that. Like that's the type of information that was coming into my field. So I'm dropping some data in here, some resources in here, right? For books, for example, a basic entry level must required, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Also anything by Wayne Dyer. He's a big one for me. I have a son named Dyer that was born on Wayne Dyer's birthday 9 months after he died. Wayne Dyer is a big influence on me. But I started to make this mind, body, emotion, spirit, physical, like seeing how everything was connected. And now I can see back as I'm even just sharing this right now, how I didn't know until I knew how it worked. I really just thought there was this mystery about who God was, and there was me, and I was this physical body. And Wayne Dyer is actually one of the first ones to have helped me see. I remember him having a saying that said, you're not your body. You're not your body. You're not what you have. You're not what you do. I was like, oh my God, if I'm not those things, who am I? This is a question I'm asking myself. Who am I? And ask and you shall receive. And so then you must start to learn about energy and frequency. You must start to learn about your non-physical body, your energy body. You must make this connection. And actually, I'm thinking of this thing I might want to read to you if I can find it. Say something, say something, say something, say something. And I don't want to get caught up in the rhythm of it, but I can't help myself. No, I can't help myself. No, no, no. Caught up in the middle of it. Oof. I wanted to read, it's not in this one. This is my Glossary of Personal Empowerment book, or in piece that fell out of my Gene Keys book, which I think everybody should look at. The Gene Keys. This is what it looks like these days. I call it the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've been studying this for the last 5 years. But actually, I'm going to read you what just popped up. It says Shakti. It's not the one I was looking for, but I just saw Shakti. The divine rain that accompanies spontaneous manifestation of grace. Shakti is a subtle, fluidic emanation of the most refined frequencies imaginable. It moves from the highest subtle bodies that you might not even know you have, right? But now you know. Such as the Atmic and Buddhic, down into their lower counterparts. When one has lived a life of service and surrender, or if one happens to be the recipient of grace, then Shakti will pour through the subtle vehicles, allowing you to experience higher states of absorption and embodiment. That's actually what I was looking for, was something with the absorption and the embodiment. But I'm going to read this one too. The Great Change. A phase of evolution in which all systems within our universe will make a quantum leap into a higher dimension. The Great Change refers to a specific time period in which human awareness is moving from being self-centered to being collective. In order for this shift to take place, a worldwide genetic mutation is underway within the human species. Alert, alert, hello, hello. There is a worldwide genetic mutation taking place right now. And there are things being done in this planet right now that are attempting to stop that from happening. We don't need poisons in our body. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. That's all I'm going to say about it. Don't ever trust those dudes again. Trust yourself. Trust your own body. Trust this magnificence that you are. Trust the God that you are within yourself, that you don't need that stuff. When I went to the doctor and I put my life in her hands. Help me, doctor, help me. Oh, I am in the business. I am in business. I want to make money. Take this and tell me if you need any more. I'll give you whatever you'd like. Thanks, Doc. In order for this shift to take place, a worldwide genetic mutation is underway within the human species. This unprecedented event is taking root within humanity between the years 1987 and 2027. So we've been going through it whether we realize it or not. And its repercussions will continue to evolve and transform our species for many hundreds of years. The result of the great change will be the gradual dawning of a new kind of human, Homo sanctus, the sacred human. Because all systems and species throughout the universe are holographically interconnected, the great change is not local to our solar system alone, but is one part of a vast ripple passing throughout the immensity of space-time. Genetic code, the master code of all known organic life. The genetic code contains the programming hardware for physical, emotional, and mental life. Your genetic code comes with layers of programming that can be activated by means of your attitude, your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. Low-frequency signals rooted in unconscious fear activate the older hardware of your reptilian brain, whereas high-frequency signals such as creativity and love activate the genetic hardware that allows you to experience and eventually embody higher consciousness. So within this meat suit that we came to Earth in, we must learn how to utilize this highly intelligent form of physicality that we have. And in order to do that, emotional intelligence, mental intelligence are so important. So the gene keys is a big part of my awakening. And I tell everyone, I'm like, if you haven't pulled up your free Gene Keys profile, go do it. Google free Gene Keys profile. Put your birthday information in. Read the 4 paragraphs. And then there will also be an audio clip of your life's work, and go listen to it. And you may or may not ever look at the stuff again. As soon as I unlocked mine, I was like drinking up information. My body was seeking this. I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know more. I was in Costa Rica, so I couldn't just get a book right away, you know. I did get the audio book. And back then in 2018, just about right now, actually, 5 years ago, I couldn't find as much relevant information or stories or teachings or personal experiences connected to some of the codes. But I was thirsting for that for sure. And now I understand why, but I see what's happening with the gene keys. And I used to keep myself from sharing them because I would think like, oh, this stuff is too advanced for people, they won't understand it. But I believe there's an advancement in the consciousness happening right now that's turning people on that couldn't understand this before, that all of a sudden will be able to understand it. I was just listening to someone the other day. She was talking about how there was a big beam of blue light blasting through. There was one in November 19th, 2019. November 19th, 2021, November 4th of this year, which was 2 days ago, November 18th coming up, which is also my birthday, directly aligned to the Pleiades, and November 25th. And the way she was talking about it, and I've already sensed and seen this before as well. So this was like a confirmation to me that what I'm seeing and what she's seeing and what many other light workers and beings of the highest order of light that are here to protect our human race and empower them and help them remember, hello, remember who you are, remember your power, remember your intelligence. Don't give your power away. Don't give your authority away to another. Learn about yourself. You must. It is a requirement that you learn about yourself right now. And that you slowly, gently awaken yourself from the slumber. Step by step. We're all being called to move out of the complexity into the simplicity of our lives. So I'm just kind of flowing here. I didn't know what I was going to be talking about, but it seems like I'm talking about, for me personally, my personal journey. Nobody can dispute this or take this away from me. I went no alcohol. I eventually went no meat. That's been about a five-year process. The no alcohol is probably like a 6 or 7 year process. I changed my location. I minimalized. I got rid of so many things I owned. I cleaned out every closet. I cleaned out all my pantries and my drawers. I sold everything. I sold my 4,000 square foot home. Downsized, minimalized, simplified my life from complexity to simplicity. Then that eventually led me to a foreign country, Costa Rica. That was in June 2018. I thought I was just going to visit. And then it led me to a massive, drastic reform of my family life. Totally unexpected. Now, at this point, I had already listened to a book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, which is a great audio listen. I love his voice and what he's talking about. And I think that's what helped me actually do exactly what the book is called, surrender to wherever you're being led, and surrender to what comes to you, and trust what's coming to you, and to really just dive deep into that without any fear. A bigger trust that everything that comes to you for a reason. Everything that happens to you happens for a reason. There's always a bigger purpose. There's always a reason that you need to surrender to something, to open the heart. There's no need to react. You're just kind of like observing, becoming the observer of your reality. You're dedicating your life to service at some point. That just naturally happens as you start to awaken to the one that you are, the one in the many that you are, a member in the body. And you're like, okay, I'll forego my reputation. I'm not my reputation. I'll forego my individual aspect, my ego self, my achievements. I'll forego what it is that I thought I wanted as Alicia Young Hall, so that I could be of service to humanity. I'm willing to do that. I don't know what it looks like. I take it day by day, but I'm willing to lay my life down. I'm willing to go through the eye of the needle. Like, eventually you get led on that path. That's a part of your ascension path. That's written in the code for all of us at some point. But we could be, everything is a spiral. So we're just kind of going through this evolution. So you never know. But you don't have to run around looking for this stuff. You surrender, and the things come to you, and the people come to you, and the situations come to you. And now what do you do with it? So no alcohol, no meat. And I started reading books. I started diving into myself. I started paying attention to energy, frequency, vibration. I started thinking quantum. So we're talking about these beams of light, these pulses of light. The reason I brought that up is that we're not saying like the whole world wakes up tomorrow and they can see with new eyes, although I'm holding that vision for humanity. But I am believing, just like I all of a sudden woke up and was like, I don't want to put another bullshit chemical in my body again. I just like, boop, It happened, right? And then I did it, right? And so I saw how fast transformation could take place. And that was the surrender too. If your soul is saying, slow down, stop being so fast, stop being so stressed out, stop being so busy, stop doing so much, stop needing so much, stop having so much. Like, my soul was telling me that. And the surrender experiment was saying, so let it go. Trust it. Sell your stuff. Downsize. Simplify. Change your environment. Trust yourself. Listen to your higher self. Listen to your higher voice. Connect with your physical, mental, emotional bodies. The basics. What is my body telling me? Your body never lies. If you have any illnesses going on in your body, connect them to your emotions. Go get that book, Anatomy of the Spirit. Go get the book, Becoming Supernatural. Or download it, or I don't know what happens these days, if people buy physical books still or not. I like the physical books. Go get the Gene Keys. What am I talking about? Go get the Gene Keys right away. And start putting this data into your body that helps you remember that you are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your reality, and you forgot. You create from the unseeable field. Your karma is the physicality reflected back to you based on the beliefs, thoughts, mental, emotional patterns of your inner world. So now I'm not addressing from the physical plane. I'm not going, my body's falling apart. What am I going to do? I'm going to go ask a doctor. No. Those doctors are called two-strand DNA doctors. And if you're finding your way to this video, it's because your DNA has turned on or it's about to turn on a whole nother level. And we're talking 144,000 strands. Data processing, DNA. And it turns on and it activates and it responds to your attitude, your mental and emotional thought patterns. I'm trying to keep this basic because sometimes I just want to fly into another planet and start talking cosmic about some things, but I'm trying to keep this about mental, emotional, physical, your responsibility for yourself, your responsibility for your thoughts, your responsibility for your lifestyle, your responsibility for your healing, your responsibility for listening to your body and what it's telling you, for finding peace within the self, for mastering this thing called emotions. There's a reason they're there. They're telling you something, and you're not meant to be drugged by them all the time, or controlled by your emotions all the time, or led by your emotions all the time. Could you imagine that you eventually become kind of a non-emotional being? Now, that doesn't mean you don't feel love. That doesn't mean you don't feel gratitude. That doesn't mean you don't still cry. But you become so aware and so emotionally intelligent. This is the most important intelligence you could ever have. The future of education for children would be about this, if you ask me. How to manage this emotional body. How to become aware of the energy body. This is the most important stuff we need to be teaching or sharing. Modeling, in fact. Modeling is actually how we teach. Being an example of the truth is the best undeniable way to teach something. So it seems one of the things I was meant to bring in here was a little bit around the medical field, medical industry, fake science, military warfare, which is basically what these beams, electromagnetic frequencies are. Go look up MARS, M-A-R-S. It's military auxiliary radio signals with these towers that are stationed in certain regions of the country that are blasting out little radio waves that are affecting synthetic telepathy. They're affecting people's thoughts. They're affecting people's emotions. They're affecting people's rationality. They're making people do things they wouldn't normally do. They're feeding people's addictions. And these things, these machines know everything about you. So let's just say you have an addiction to anything, sex, food, technology, whatever it is. It knows you have this addiction, and it will continue to funnel that to you, to impulse and drop that in, so that you are a victim of that. You have to become aware that that even exists, this thing. And you have to say, I'm taking my life back. I will no longer be controlled by my lower nature desires or my addictions or my impulses. Now you can start to transcend, and sex is another addiction. I don't know if I said that one or not. Sex, food, time, money, power, technology, whatever. Alcohol, whatever it is, fill in the blanks. Notice I'm not using any guilt trips here, right? There's nothing to feel guilty about, but be real with yourself about you, about your responsibility for yourself. This is where mushrooms as therapeutic use could really be helpful, to gain insights within yourself, to see things you couldn't see. You know, there's a lot coming up about healing and shadow work and inner child work, and these can be helpful things, but I'd say the most important thing is, like, once you start to peek your head into this awareness where you're like, oh, my thoughts, emotions, my attitude are creating my reality. So let me go there. Let me go into that non-physical space, and let me just do a little inventory check on how I'm thinking and how I'm looking at the world and how I'm perceiving reality. Because as you turn on your multidimensionality, you start to recognize dimensions are just perspectives. You know, in one dimension, I have no idea where I came from or why I'm here. In another dimension, I'm the creator of my reality. This is like a quick one. I'm a creator of my reality, puts you in an automatic higher dimension. Now when you see you're the creator of your reality, you add another ingredient to that I am one with all things. I'm one with all beings. I'm one with all animals. Right? So now you're in a deeper dimension where, damn, if I'm one with everything, I've got to open my heart here. I've got to see, like, where do I not feel one with something, right? We're moving into Gene Key 1, which is about unity. This is a really good question you can ask yourself. In a dimension where I am one with all things, it's beauty, sorry. In a dimension where I'm one with all things, what do I need to clean up or look at that's keeping me from feeling the truth of that, feeling one with all beings, feeling one with all animals, all humans, all nature? When you're one with nature, you don't hurt it. When you're one with animals, you don't eat them. We don't even really need food to survive. Again, we're all in different dimensions here, but I'm talking about a dimension where eventually you don't even need food to survive. Maybe you're in a dimension where you still need that right now. Maybe you're still piling on a heavy load. That's cool. I also hear about people that go vegan or vegetarian, and then they're like, oh, then my body fell apart and I couldn't do this or that. Probably because you weren't working on raising your frequency. This isn't just about what you're eating physically, about what you're eating emotionally. If you're not doing that energetic work on the emotional body to raise the frequency to a higher elevation, I could see where this could be an issue. But if I'm talking about dimensions where we don't even need food to survive, well, then one of the gateways in moving through levels of density is that I don't need to eat something that I had to kill, or that someone had to kill. There's a balance and an equilibrium within there. Like I said, I didn't just jump into that belief. My body just showed it to me, and then I honored it, right? I didn't have to force myself, and I wasn't, hard on myself about it. But eventually that's where my soul took me, because I wanted to leap to this dimension. It wasn't even that I wanted to. That was my destiny. That's where my soul was calling me, into this other dimension where food wasn't the central focus of my life anymore. And food is a big dominant structure that we build our life around. And it was really meant for communing with people and enjoying with our friends and family. And it's become far from that. Like, for a while, it was like I was just like a machine. Eat 3 meals a day, 2 snacks in between, eat every 2 hours, eat every 2 hours, eat every 2, take a protein shake, feed my body more food, feed my body more food. When you turn on your light body, you're starting to build your sustainability. And you actually come to a place where you don't need so much of those things. You're feeding yourself with mana from heaven. Mana, prana, chi, life force energy that is flowing unlimited through your body. When your digestive system is not being used to process foods all the time. It's actually quite the opposite. Your stomach is a brain. And so when the brain has to work hard to process food, it can actually utilize itself for what it's meant to be used for. The functionality of it is for your truth, for your thoughts. Just like your brain is a brain and you go to school and they're teaching you this fake ass algebra. Tell me where you ever needed that. I've never needed it. I've never needed that shit ever again in my life. Ever. That's why I dropped out in my Algebra 2 honors. I put my head down. I fell asleep 2 hours, or I don't know why I said 2 hours. I fell asleep in class every day until the end of the class. I got an F. And it's not till now that I realize, like, I'm so mathematical. I have books of numbers and calculations and configurations, but they're simple math. They're not with all these signs and all of these things. I don't need that. It creates confusion. That's not what the brain is there for. So we're moving into gene key 1 from the 44. The 44, though, is the shadow of interference. And it's the physiology of your immune system. So we're asking a very simple question right now. What is interfering with my immunity? What is interfering with my immunity? What's interfering with my immune system? Very simple question. Well, I didn't know where this was going to flow, but it's a little share. Just sending you guys so much love as you're paying attention a little more, just becoming more aware of everything you're doing for yourself, everything you're thinking, everything you're feeling, everything you're consuming, what you're putting into your body, mind, environment. Take care of yourselves. Remember, you're the authority of this physical vessel, this holy temple that you are. Don't forget this holy temple that you are, please. And help your friends and family remember this, not in some condemning way, in a loving way, and especially by example. The best way to share with the people that you love the most is not by this is the trick when you're waking up, is you want to tell everybody what they're doing wrong. Well, nobody needs another one of those. Kids don't want to hear it. Family doesn't want to hear it, right? Be an example. Exude such a life force energy, such a vibrational sense of vitality out of your body that somebody can't deny and might even be curious to know, what is it about you that keeps you in that high energy space, that keeps you in this immortal space, that keeps you in this not aging space. I'll be 41 this year. I feel young. I feel vibrant. I feel vital. I feel powerful. I feel strength and courage and magic in my being. I'm operating from a lighter field than the way I was taught, or maybe never taught. My physical follows my mental and my emotional. So if I'm not feeling light here, I'm going to go look in my light body. I'm going to go look at my energy and my emotions and my mental, right? So ask yourself, do a gut check. Do a check on yourself. What's your body never lies. So what's your body telling you, right? How's your body communicating to you? Take care of yourself. It's more important than ever. I think things are really going to be ramping up on this earth that are going to prompt people to make decisions to maybe leave certain areas and locations where these beams are being blasted. I'm not here to put any fear out there in the system, but I want you to know, like, it's not normal and your body is not appreciating these waves, these microwaves, right? I was just reading how the USSR, so somewhere in the Russian times, they got rid of or banned microwaves. Well, electromagnetic frequencies and these little radio waves are basically like that. First of all, we're putting it on our food and we're eating it. It's still very normal in America. When I came to Costa Rica, I'd never seen there weren't microwaves here. I left microwaves, televisions. I changed my deodorant and my toothpaste. Those were basics that I started to recognize as I started to awaken, right? I didn't even have to read that anywhere. I didn't have any kind of like fear message that came to me or anything like that. Like, I woke up one day, it was a Saturday, and I Googled like how to make a natural toothpaste, right? And it was like so easy. Coconut oil, baking soda, and a little essential oils. And then I recognized I wanted to try a natural deodorant, because why would I want to put aluminum next to my breasts, you know? Basics. These are basic things on the physical, right? But we're consuming on all levels. So I'm just sharing a little bit of some tidbits for those that are interested in hearing about it. Just baby steps of resources. Pull your Gene Keys profile, pay attention to your consumption, pay attention to your addiction to your thinking, addiction to your emotions, addictions to the physical foods and things like that. Just think about it, look at it, right? And your body never lies, so what's your body telling you? And I do personal one-on-one stuff. If you ever feel called to do that, message me, and I'm so happy to help anybody that's ready to really make a shift. And I want us all to imagine here that our whole world is awakening to the truth of how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of our bodies, imagining a whole healed world. Imagine a world with peace. It starts with peace within the self. It starts with the mastery on the emotional plane, for sure. All right. Sending you guys much love from Costa Rica, the galactic 0 point. Solara, 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 solara. Don't forget to get in the sun. That's the other thing how could I forget this? Oh, drinking good, clean water. Always. Filtered, good, clean water. Stop using all the plastics and the things. Like, look up water intelligence. But get in the sun. Get in the sun as much as you can. All right. Sending you guys much love. QuantumPhinix.